Hey, good morning. I'm Lisa with Apex Revenue Media, a social media marketing company, and today I have a special guest. But before I introduce my guest, I do want to give a shout out to our location sponsor, South Jacksonville Presbyterian Church, which is also the home of Network San Marco. So, hey Wise, welcome. Thank you for chatting with me. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Good, okay. So Wise is known as the go-to for benefits, individual benefits, correct?
Individual and group.
Okay, there we go. So he is known for putting his customer first. And I do want to read a quote that I've heard him say and I've heard other people say about him. So many people do not treat their clients properly. I have seen it firsthand in the investment world as well as the insurance world. I do what's best for the client, not my pocketbook. So when you say not my pocketbook, from my understanding is that the insurance industry, investment industry is like a greedy industry.
Some people can be. Yeah, we have what we call rogue brokers.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the people that don't do what's right. They do it for their pocketbook.
Oh, and the benefits guy is not.
No, I don't do that. Yeah.
Okay, well then tell me, how did this road to helping people with their benefits start?
So I'm originally from Virginia, and I went to a college prep high school, but I struggled to get through high school. So I took an accounting course and I did really well, so I thought I was going to be a CPA. So I went to look at the college that the president graduated from, the business school, Wharton. No, your grades aren't good enough. Okay. So then I went to the business school, University of Richmond's pretty high up. And they told me, yeah, you're lacking a little, but if you go to a good 2-year college, we'll let you transfer in pretty done. So I asked him point blank, so what's a good 2-year college that you pretty much take people from? He goes, Ferrum. So the next stop was Ferrum.
Ferrum College?
Yep, Ferrum College in Ferrum, Virginia, which is about an hour south of Roanoke.
Okay.
So went there, and now all of a sudden I'm on the honor roll and doing real well. And then the last semester of my sophomore year, they started to do ROTC. So Blacksburg's about an hour away, so that's why I'm sponsored by Virginia Tech, because you have to have a college that's got a program sponsor a college that doesn't have a program.
Oh.
And then we went through, and I mean, we had hundreds of people in our class, hardly anybody had a uniform. And they're like, well, you should go for a scholarship because you're on honor roll. I'm like, really? Okay, so I signed up for a 2-year, or to apply for a 2-year, and I'm dressed like this. I don't have a uniform at all. That didn't seem to matter, but okay. So for each year's scholarship, 1, 2, 3, 4, they award 100 scholarships, and then there's 100 alternates. I was the number 1 alternate for 2 years. So they tell me, well, when you transfer to Richmond, keep all your receipts because somebody's going to flunk out, and then they're going to ask you, do you want to do this? So I transferred to Richmond, and fortunately, the summer between the sophomore and junior year, I actually enlisted and went to basic training at Fort Knox.
So you enlisted into the Army?
Yes, in the reserve. And so I would be a cadet, which they didn't know what to do with once I transferred to Richmond, but oh well. Like an E5 for pay grade, but they didn't know what to do with me there. So basically I did my homework. Or tried. So I transferred to Richmond, and Richmond is a pretty big ROTC program, believe it or not. And so everybody, whether you're scholarship or not, in your junior year, at the beginning of the year, you sign a contract. You're going to commit to at least 8 years of reserve duty, if not more. At that time, I haven't been awarded my scholarship. They also pay you a small stipend once you sign up. And I think there were 40 of us, if I remember right, in the junior year. And good thing I went and enlisted during the summer, because you want to guess how many people didn't have prior military experience out of those 40? 2. So I would have been as lost as them if I had gone. Yeah. So that was a good thing. And then, so I kept going. It's pretty tough because you have to live off campus. So I didn't really know anybody. So the week of Thanksgiving, Monday, they called me into the commandant's office. And he asked me how I'm doing. I'm like, okay. And I'm not really sure what this is for. Could be 2 things. And he goes, well, when you come back from Thanksgiving, somebody flunked out. You got to tell us if you take your scholarship. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So Monday I showed up and I gave him all my receipts, said, give me all my money, I'll take it. Wow. And so we kept going, and then there really weren't many classes I was doing well at because it was hard to get to know people living off campus, and you're not around the functions like when you live on campus, like at a firm or something. So the only things I think I did above C was computers and ROTC. So I was, oh, that's not a problem, just go over to VCU. Okay. So I took an extra semester. So
And
instead
VCU is...
Oh, I'm sorry, Virginia Commonwealth University.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So they didn't have ROTC either, so we helped Firm and our VCU get permanent funding. So many of us have to go get commission.
Oh.
So once you accept scholarship, so I graduated in December instead of June. And then I went over to Richmond and got commissioned in the office. And the only place I was assigned was Fort Stewart, Georgia. That's Rapid Deployment Force. General Schwarzkopf, Norman Schwarzkopf, was the base commander. Only a 2-star back then, but he was the base commander, so I worked for him. And we trained people to go to the desert.
So you trained people to fight overseas?
Well, in the desert environment, which, ended up Desert Storm. We trained all the time there for that.
Wow. So then I guess I could feel pretty safe being around you, that you could...
Yeah, I remember my training. Yeah.
Okay.
Some people don't believe it, but yeah, when I got my concealed weapons permit a few summers ago, I hadn't touched a .45 in over 20 years. I went to the class. I only had 3 bullets, and you have to actually fire. And one of them was in the target, and then they were in a shot group of a silver dollar. So like I tell people is, well, your team relies on each other to keep each other alive because you're in dangerous situations.
Okay, so every time I see you, I know.
So you remember your training is my point.
Okay. We are safe when Wise Skillman is around us.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let me go through some of your achievements because your list is very impressive.
Oh,
so you got your AA in Business Administration from Ferrum College. You got your Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration with a concentration in Finance from Virginia Commonwealth University.
Right.
You were sponsored by Virginia Tech. You got your 2-year Army ROTC scholarship. So you've helped Ferrum and VCU get their ROTC programs going.
Right.
And you were stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia with the Rapid Deployment Force, where you trained troops to fight in the desert, just how you said.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah. Then there was a reduction in the force in 1987 where you switched from artillery to transportation, which gave you the opportunity to come to Jacksonville at least like once a month, right?
Right. So what that means is I left active duty and went in the reserve.
Oh.
So I was coming here once a month, and I stayed in long enough. That's one of the few times an officer gets to choose when they leave is reduction in force. So I stayed in long enough to get my wisdom teeth yanked out, and then I left. That's really a truth.
Yeah, the Navy took my wisdom teeth, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah. So.
You also opened and own your own minimal capital broker dealer.
Yeah. So I was a little Merrill Lynch, is what I'm saying there.
Sweet.
Yeah,
look at you.
Right. And I started that in Hinesville, which is where Fort Stewart is.
Wow. Okay. You're Series 7, 24, and 28 licensed, and you were also an arbitrator for the National Association of Securities Dealers.
Right.
And that was a self-regulatory.
That's the self-regulatory
brokerage.
back then. Now it's FINRA.
Okay. And then you moved to Orange Park in 1989, and you got your 215 insurance license in 2008, and you are working for yourself.
I was working for myself all along once I got out of active duty because I had my own brokerage, and I also started a real estate company up there.
Wow.
Yeah. The problem was Fort Stewart's a real military town. So when they deployed to Desert Storm, 97 out of 100 businesses went out of business. So I was like, that's too small for a brokerage. That's when I got one of my fellow officers to help me find a place down here and moved here. I figured I need a bigger city, being almost everybody left
Wow.
to run my stock brokerage firm. So yeah, I moved here in August of '89.
So you're familiar with the area, you're familiar with investments, you're familiar with insurance. I do have to ask though, so whenever you say that you've seen some things. Like,
Okay. You want an example?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want a recent example.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a Medicare client. She's 86 years old. She used to be on a Medicare group. She used to work for AT&T. Now, she's only been my client for 3 years. So this past AEP was the 3rd year. She purchases a Medigap or a Medicare supplement. So she also has to have a prescription drug plan. So each year during AEP, I go back, enter all of her drugs, and see what the top recommendations for a drug plan. It's very rare for a person to stay on the same drug plan in Medicare for 3 years in a row. So I go there. But when I walk in, because she trusts me, she's like another mom. Because my mom's 89, so she's pretty close. And when I walk in, she's like, I want you to go through all this mail and explain it to me. I'm like, okay. So we won't start our appointment. It probably took an hour or so. So I help her with what I'm like, no, this is them trying to get you. You got your supplement. You can shred it, trash it. And I noticed she's got a pad with some bills written here. I'm like, Katie, what is Prudential Auto? AUTO. Dot. I go, you don't own a car. What is Prudential Auto? Oh, that's my life insurance. Really? Your life insurance? So this life insurance is through who? Oh, it's through my employer's group. Okay, well, let's call them. So we call them and they give me permission. So she's on a whole life plan and she's been paying for this plan 20 or 30 years. You want to guess how much cash value was in her policy?
How much?
$20.45. She's paying $460 some dollars, and I figure out they're going up 10% a year. So how much life insurance coverage does she have? $26,000. I'm like, okay, thank you, bye. So I calculate, I'm like, Katie, in the last 6 years, you've paid $27,000 for a $26,000 policy. She hit the ceiling like my mom probably would. She's all mad. I want to cancel this. Okay. So I take care of that for her. The broker that sold her that knew what they were doing, is my point. So they were only interested in the commissions they're getting, which is quite hefty probably. You get the majority. So they knew what they were doing. So they did not do right by her, is my point.
Intentionally. This is intentional.
That's what I mean by rogue broker. They do it intentionally. So I call them back again. She wants to cancel policy. Before I do that, I said, now, Katie, I can't make you do this, but if you'll take that money and put it in a separate savings account and not touch it, in 5 years, you'll have $30,000 or so that you can give to whoever, heir to whoever, or use for an emergency fund. But I can't make you set up the account and separate it. So, and then I also told her, I said, you need to go to your bank and tell them to cancel the electronic funds because I got them to email me the form and I printed it out, filled out what I could, and I was at my kiosk the next day. So I said, when I'm done with my kiosk, I'll come over and get you sign it and I'll scan it. But I don't get a response because I'm not you, so I don't know. So tell them to cancel your electronic funds so you make sure it doesn't get paid. So she calls me up. You know how much they charged me for that? Well, I didn't think they charged you anything to cancel. They charged her $35. Well, Katie, you're netting $440 more a month in your pocket. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Wow.
Try to refocus back on what's important.
Yeah.
You said you didn't want to keep paying out money, and that makes sense. But I can't make you separate that account. You're going to have to put it where you don't touch it. But.
So then what would be like the age range of your average clientele?
Oh, boy. Because I do under 65 too, so that's kind of hard to really say.
So the ones that you tend to find are more taken advantage of, what age range is that?
The elderly people do get taken advantage of, and they're most underreported because they're embarrassed. So they won't normally tell somebody. If she didn't have me to trust, she probably would have kept paying and wouldn't have asked me to look at things. Because she is like she calls me for no reason and we talk. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem with that, but I can't spend all day with you, Katie. I got to take care of other people, help other people, I don't mind, when we get up to an hour, I'm like, I need to go help others. Okay. Right. You call me if you got a problem, but.
That's awesome.
Okay. So, yeah, the elderly are the most abused in scams and stuff like that.
I don't like that.
So I do community outreach for some of the carriers for Medicare. And this past summer I worked in Clay County and I would go and do the fraud speeches at all the senior centers, so like Orange Park, Green Cove, Middleburg. And I did fraud because every manager would tell me, well, some of them swear that United Healthcare calls them up and wants their banking information. I'm like, oh, no. They don't want, we have your information. Unless they've closed that bank account and changed it to another. And then they're not going to call you. They would send you a letter telling you to call us with the new info. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing I'd lead off. They'd let me do it when they're feeding them. So you got 15 minutes to get their attention because they'll be eating. Okay.
So then you would be the perfect person to help, like maybe my grandmother or anybody's grandparents, mm-hmm. to make sure that they're getting proper coverage and most importantly that they're not getting scammed.
Well, I may not find about the scams, but yeah, if they have a supplement without a drug plan, yeah, they've gotten. And see, the bad part about that is Medicare, CMS says you have to have credible drug coverage as good as Medicare's. And the penalty for not having it's 1% a month. So I meet people all the time, 5 years with no thing. That's 60% penalty. most people can't afford it at that point. They're not going to be able to pay the penalty.
And you help take care of all that?
Well, I can't get the penalty removed. So,
but you can help kind of put everything together for them.
I try. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. What do you get out of it? Why? Why? What is your why?
Well, my mom is 89, so I take care of my mom. And So my mom really doesn't have to worry, but most of these people, like my client I'm talking about with the bank, with the life insurance, she has 2 children, but she never sees them, from what I can tell. She talks to them, she says, but neither of her kids called me when I first signed her up to ask what I was doing to their mom.
Wow.
And you would think one of them would have called up to find out I'm a Medicare agent. Your mom says she wants this, so I explained all her choices. Most of them, even if they've been on Medicare for 20, 30 years, don't know they have choices. So the first thing I do is explain their 3 choices, and then they pick.
So you're like everybody's adopted son.
No, not some, but not all. Yeah, not all.
Okay, because I think I would trust you
when
with
they're
my
single
family.
and by themselves,
Okay.
And I bring up my mom, so they know I take care of
So you would
someone
take,
just like them in a similar situation,
really
because mom lives
respect
with me.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, so then our goal is to help direct everybody who could use Wise's help with their insurance. It's life insurance, dental.
Wow.
What else we got?
So you got all your voluntary for employers, critical illness, cancer, life, health, disability, long-term care. I know I'm forgetting some things.
But you got a lot of things that you can help with.
All the fill-in stuff to pay you when you go in the hospital to help pay your deductible and your copays. So I do everything on a 215 license, individual and group, plus legal plans, telemedicine, and life settlements. So telemedicine is for the people you can access a doctor via your smartphone.
So then we don't have to leave our home. We can just call.
Yeah, you can do almost 80% of the stuff on a telemedicine app, as opposed to going into the doctor's office, wasting your time, paying a big copay possibly, save that money. They can even refill simple prescriptions if they're not narcotic.
Wow.
And then for employers, they still have to deal with the Affordable Care Act. So employers under 50 employees, they usually do nothing because they think they're going to have to pay money. The only thing you have to contribute money to is health insurance. But if you want to keep employees that are good and hire good employees, you offer them voluntary benefits. You just have to offer, you don't have to contribute any money. But if you're not doing health insurance, you probably want to offer a telemedicine app. Well, you might want to contribute something toward it, but you don't have to. So when they're small, they may start out just offering, not contributing. As they get bigger, they might decide to kick in half of whatever it's costing for a benefit. That retains employees. 80% of employees want benefits. That's why they leave a job. There's studies about this. I read it all the time.
So we can get our families to call you and employers to call you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'll figure it out, however. If they don't want to be a group, I can do it individual. I'll figure out the solution for what's best for them.
Okay, well, I'm sold. So if I know anybody that needs insurance, they're going directly to you, and hopefully you have someone that you trust that you can direct to. But if you don't, Wise is here, and he is known as the benefits guy in the entire area. And you're actually the first person that I had a one-on-one with when I started the networking scene.
Oh, yes, I remember that. We were in a Starbucks over near our other networking
group. And that's pretty fun.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So he kind of, in a way, showed me the tricks of the trade.
Oh, cool.
So
I like doing that, too.
Yeah, so I know that you like to help.
A lot of people don't listen, but you listen. You're very successful now, so you obviously listen to many other people that know more than me.
So how can we get in touch with you?
I am on LinkedIn, and other than that, you just give me a call. It's rare to get me to answer the phone because I keep my phone on vibrate because I'm in so many meetings and appointments and trainings and networking. But if you leave me a message, and please tell me how late I can call you, I will get back to you at my first opportunity, usually the same day, depending on how late.
Okay.
You'll let me call you.
Do you have any words of advice or anything you want to share with our friends that are watching?
Sure, I certainly do. So if it can be yourself, or if it's someone you know or care about, if they're complaining about not understanding or the cost of anything like their premium, their deductible, their copays, they're not happy with something, it's usually they don't understand. We focus on educating people, and those are the people that just send them to me, and I'll learn their situation and recommend the best for their situation. Product or products, whatever combination it takes.
Okay, well, there we have it. The go-to benefits guy of the entire area is Wise Skillman. So if you have any other questions, feel free to contact him. But for now, thank you for
Thank
chatting
you.
with
I
me. This was a pleasure.
appreciate you. Yes. Thank you for doing this.
I'm Lisa with Apex Revenue Media, and I'll see you next time.